Hey, good afternoon to you. 3:06 now. News Talk 105.9 WMAL, where we're making sense of the news. Coming up this hour, Tammy Bruce is here as the White House claims that Joe Biden is not senile. They insist in panicked tones. Sarah Parshall-Perry will be with us 4 o'clock today from the Heritage Foundation. We'll talk to her about a federal judge stepping in to protect women from the Biden administration. More on that at 4. 4:30. London Roberts is here. The mother of Navy Joan Roberts, the grandchild of the President of the United States, the one that the Bidens didn't want to acknowledge. And Michael Patrick Leahy will be with us at 5 o'clock. He's the CEO and the editor-in-chief of Star News Digital Media, also the Tennessee Star specifically, looking to protect his sources. He's got all sorts of important reporting. They've been publishing the details of that Tranifesto from that Nashville shooting, and now he's being hauled before a court. He's looking at possible jail time unless he gives up his sources. A new threat to the First Amendment in America. We'll talk to him about that, and you can talk to us at 888-630-9625, 888-630-WMAL. Always grateful for your contributions. President Biden is now already 20 minutes late to a White House event today where he's supposed to announce a massive amnesty for all sorts of illegal aliens, at least hundreds of thousands who are here in the United States right now. Another amnesty program being cooked up by the left, an 11th hour announcement in the midst of the campaign. More on that in a moment, but think about the timing of all of this. We keep being served these horrific headlines each day about yet another illegal alien who's committed some of the most egregious crimes imaginable. Today, we get one out of New York, out of Queens, where you had an illegal alien allegedly rape a 13-year-old girl in broad daylight last week while wielding a machete. Fox report this morning. An illegal immigrant Ecuadorian is now in New York Police Department custody after a broad daylight sex attack in which police said a machete-wielding man approached two 13-year-olds, one a boy, one a girl. He tied them together by the wrists, and he raped the girl at a popular park in Queens, according to sources. Christian Giovanni Ingolandi, a 25-year-old from Ecuador, entered the country illegally in 2021 near Eagle Pass, Texas, with his 3-year-old child, NYPD leaders revealed during a news briefing Tuesday. After police released surveillance video showing him near the scene of the crime, tips started pouring in, police said. Ultimately, a group of at least 10 neighbors swarmed him and held him until police arrived around 1 a.m. Tuesday. That's this morning, early hours this morning. The community making a citizen's arrest of this guy, in their words, beating the bleep out of him as he tried to crawl for protection under a car. Take a listen here. This is some of the audio, a woman capturing the scene in New York after catching this guy. Take a listen. Here we go. This is the Ecuadorian illegal immigrant busted after the alleged rape of this 13-year-old girl at Casena Park.
Okay, he a rapist. He don't care. He don't care that he hit the 13-year-old. He right there. He hiding because we beat his Yeah. Rapist has citizen F, baby. Thank you. Y'all, we did y'all job for you. He's right there. Look at him right there. We beat his ass.
Where my 10,000? Where my 10,000?
We beat his ass. Beat his ass. Beat his ass.
There you go. All right, so she's emphasizing that detail. New Yorkers beating the hell out of an alleged rapist illegal alien. New York Post story today. Good Samaritans tie up Ecuadorian migrant busted in rape of 13-year-old girl at Casena Park. A group of Good Samaritans helping to nab the 25-year-old wanted for the brutal sexual assault of that girl, smacking him around and tying him up with a belt, they say. Dramatic video and photos obtained by the New York Post show the shirtless creep, later identified by police as Christian Giovanni Ingolandi, cowering on the sidewalk early Tuesday as the angry mob pounds him and calls him out as a rapist. "Where are you going? Where are you going?" the woman is heard screaming in Spanish while clutching his hair. He's a rapist. He don't care. Ngolandi faces a slew of charges. That includes rape, kidnapping, and sex abuse, after cops arrested him thanks to a flood of help from the public, including those good Samaritans who lassoed him on the street, the NYPD said later Tuesday. I'm glad the NYPD is heralding this guy, and I hope all the prosecutors keep away from, heralding the neighbors, the good Samaritans here. I hope the prosecutors stay away from them as well. We don't have another Daniel Penny situation on our hands where somebody does the right thing and then he's crushed by the forces of evil within New York. But you never know. Footage shows the suspected abuser crawling under the parked car to get away from the angry vigilante mob as bystanders keep screaming. They got him. They got him. So he's in custody now after the horror that he perpetrated on that community. But again, not the only story like this. In Maryland, we are still reeling from the reality of the rape and the murder of a Maryland mother, Rachel Morin, 37 years old. Authorities in Oklahoma have arrested 23-year-old Victor Antonio Martinez Hernandez. He entered the country illegally after committing another murder in El Salvador. Came into the country in February of 2023. That would be during the Biden administration, at the permission of the Biden administration. It's quite awful. On that subject, we've got a bunch of details for you. One, you've got the sheriff in Maryland, Sheriff Gaylor, who had this to say this weekend about the arrest of this guy.
And it's my understanding that this suspect, this monster, fled to the United States illegally after committing the brutal murder of a young woman in El Salvador a month early in January of 2023. Once in our country, and likely emboldened by his anonymity, he brutally attacked a 9-year-old girl and her mother during a home invasion in March of 2023 in Los Angeles. And as everyone I believe is aware, that was our first DNA match linking Rachel's case to the Los Angeles case. It has been a fear of mine that once we identified this suspect, the result would be exactly this. And I want to now direct these comments to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue,
Biden,
and to every member in both chambers of Congress. We are 1,800 miles away here in Harford County. We are 1,800 miles away from the southern border, and the American citizens are not safe because of failed immigration policies. This is the second time in just 2 years that an innocent Harford County woman has lost her life to a criminal in our country illegally. Let me repeat that. 1,800 miles from the southern border, and this is the second woman in our county to be killed by an illegal alien. Suspects, in both cases, they are suspects from El Salvador with ties to criminal gangs. Should not be happening. Victor Hernandez did not come here to make a better life for himself or for his family. He came here to escape the crime he committed in El Salvador. He came here and murdered Rachel, and God willing, no one else.
Who's been warning us about this? Who's been talking about this at every campaign stop he does? Well, it's Trump. President Trump has been talking about this endlessly, about these countries that have criminals that are being sent here. And here we got a guy who just killed a woman in El Salvador, comes to the United States, and then kills an American citizen. And Biden allowed this to happen. There is blood on Biden's hands here. So who are Democrats blaming? Well, the governor of Maryland, Wes MOore, was on CBS's Face the Nation weekend, and guess who he blames? That's right, Trump.
My heart is broken for the Morin family, as is our entire state. She should still be here. And the sheriff is absolutely right. I mean, we have an immigration policy that needed to have been dealt with and was not. And the consequences then fall on us.
Biden just absolutely set the border on fire. That is Biden who did that. They keep saying, oh, we've got this problem that has to be dealt with. No, the problem was created by your party, Governor.
Who have been dealt with and was not. And the consequences then fall on us as the chief executives of our states. The consequences fall on us as the leaders of our individualized jurisdictions. And we know that we have got to fix a broken immigration policy, and we know that we need Congress to act on this. And this is why this was so unbelievably frustrating, that when you have a coalition that is a bipartisan coalition of both Democrats and Republicans that get literally right up to the line to be able to get a deal done. That because you had President Trump who said this was not advantageous politically, that the deal was killed. There is an unbelievable frustration, and this is what people don't like about politics. We've got to get this deal done, and we need Congress to act on it.
He's blaming Trump. Let me just remind you of the timeline here. The murder was committed in August of last year. The so-called bipartisan bill that was supported by James Lankford and a bunch of Democrats, that came out in February of this year. So the murder, August of last year. The bill that Governor Moore is referring to didn't even come out until February of this year. They blame Trump for stopping the bill, and they've invented this conspiracy theory that Trump said, no, leave the border in chaos. It's good for my reelection. He never said those words, either in private or in public, yet they keep insisting that that's the case. And if he was opposed to this at all, which I do think Trump was opposed to this bill, he was opposed like the rest of us because the bill amounted to an amnesty. It expanded work permits for illegals and foreign nationals pouring into our country. It was a magnet for more foreign national migration into the United States. Stop with the scams. And so there you have the governor of Maryland, Democrat Wes Moore, blaming Trump for the death of his own citizen because of Democrat policies. Tom Cotton, Republican senator, was on with Jake Tapper this weekend.
We just recently learned that the murderer of Rachel Morins, a beautiful young mother of 5, was a savage degenerate from El Salvador who raped and beat her after doing something similar in El Salvador. Yet Joe Biden, rather than getting serious about immigrant crime, is about to give amnesty to more than 1 million illegal aliens.
All right, and that brings us to today, where Joe Biden is announcing a massive amnesty for hundreds of thousands of illegals. Here's Corinne in her own marble-mouthed way announcing this today.
Today, President Biden will announce that the Department of Homeland Security will take action designed to help U.S. citizens with non-citizen spouses keep their families together.
These are not legal immigrants she's referring to. Of course, she's trying to conceal what she's talking about. She's talking about illegals, illegal aliens in the United States, an amnesty for them. You violate our nation's laws, you get to stay.
This new process will help certain non-citizen spouses and children
when she says certain, she means illegal.
Apply for lawful permanent residency, a status they are already eligible for without having to leave the country.
They are not eligible for that, actually, because they're illegal aliens to the country. But you're ramming through eligibility for people who have broken our laws. Question put to Corinne today: why are you doing amnesty now, of all times?
And when it comes to the new executive actions today on immigration, can you just talk us through why now? Why not earlier?
So look, and I said this a little bit, and I'll say it again, which is, and we say this, our immigration system is broken. It has been for some decades. The president wants to have a comprehensive legislative fix. That's the process that we actually want to take, and that's why he did on day one.
The arsonist pretending to be the firefighter yet again. Why now? Well, our system's been broken. She says, you notice she didn't actually answer the question at all. Another question. Wait a second. So the current administration, you're not even able to handle the backlog of the crap you have to deal with now. How are you going to handle all of this amnesty?
The administration confident that U.S. citizenship and immigration services can handle possibly hundreds of thousands of new applications, given the current backlog of other immigration applications?
So, look, we have always said, and I said this at the top.
Have you noticed that when she answers questions, it always consists of, and I've said, well, I said, and I'll now say, and I'm going to say, and I'm just saying.
Like the way that we would love to move forward is in a more balanced approach, obviously, and get that bipartisanship from Congress. The first day of his administration, as I've already stated, and I've stated this many times.
And she stated it.
We wanted to see a comprehensive immigration process, a
which
legislation.
Is amnesty.
That's what the president put forward.
When they say comprehensive immigration reform or any other version that comes out of Corinne's mouth, what that means is amnesty. Comprehensive amnesty. You know it immediately. Well, the Trump campaign is thinking very much the way I'm thinking today. Holy crap, you're doing an amnesty in the middle of all of this horrific illegal alien perpetrated crime. Here's a statement just released by Caroline Leavitt at the Trump campaign. Quote, this week, we learned an illegal alien from El Salvador who crooked Joe Biden allowed into our country murdered a mother of 5 while she was on a run in Maryland. And we learned an illegal alien from Ecuador tied up and raped a 13-year-old girl at knife point in broad daylight. But Biden doesn't care about the American lives that will forever be destroyed by the illegal criminals he is importing. And Biden doesn't care that law-abiding taxpayers, crushed by inflation, are forced to pay for free food, housing, and health care for illegals. Biden only cares about one thing, power. And this is why he's giving mass amnesty and citizenship to hundreds of thousands of illegals who he knows will ultimately vote for him and the open border Democrat Party. Biden's mass amnesty plan will undoubtedly lead to a greater surge in migrant crime, cost taxpayers millions of dollars they cannot afford, overwhelm public services, and steal Social Security and Medicare benefits from American seniors to fund benefits for illegals, draining the programs Americans paid into their entire working lives. Biden has created another invitation for illegal immigration through his mass amnesty order. Mike, calling in from Springfield now, line 4. Mike, good afternoon. You're on the Vince Coglianese Show.
Hey, good afternoon. Thank you. I wanted to add that I have some friends who are trying to use the immigration services, and I'm the conduit for filling out the forms online. And we are 3 years into a process. If you were to start your immigration process today, there's like a DMV ticket you get, and it says, expect to wait 91 months to process through the immigration system services. So with the additional people that Biden wants to bring in as voters, I can't see that number growing exponentially. It's just unbelievably how long and how hard the process is. Money's been paid years ago, and they actually made a mistake and thought he was trying to adopt his own sister. So we tried to straighten it out and say we are not adopting, we are sponsoring. And if you get that wrong, you're going to start back to square one and do another
91 months. That's just shy of 8 years. That's a long time to go through the process the right way. Meanwhile, Joe Biden is allowing foreign nationals to illegally pour into the country and then rewarding them today with an amnesty. Thank you, Mike.
It's a shame.
It is a shame, and it's an atrocity. As Mike pointed out, and as Caroline Leavitt pointed out, they think this is votes. It's just votes. We need power, so we'll do whatever it takes to stay there. Tammy Bruce joins us next. We'll talk to her about the senility of the president and the spin operation to prevent you from thinking that. Hey, good afternoon to you. 3:35 here at News Talk 105.9 WMAL, where we're making sense of the news. Coming up on the program, Sarah Parshall-Perry will be with us from the Heritage Foundation. We'll talk to her about a federal judge stepping in to protect women from the Biden administration this week. It's a big story. We'll talk to her about the details. London Roberts is here at 4:30, the mother of Joe Biden's grandchild, the one that he really didn't want to acknowledge in public. And then Michael Patrick Leahy joins us at 5 o'clock from the Tennessee Star. He's facing a risk of jail time right now for reporting on the contents of the Tranifesto from that horrific shooting in Nashville last year. We've got all the details. We've got all the conversations ahead. You can join us at 888-630-9625, 888-630-WMAL. Joe Biden speaking right now as he commemorates Obama's amnesty from 12 years ago. He's also announcing another amnesty of his own, as America is reeling from all of this illegal immigration. And here is the status of Biden's mind in real time.
Got on the phone literally and started, and the press can confirm this, and calling senators saying don't.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Here he is also referring to the impeached Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas.
Thanks to all the members of Congress and Homeland Security Secretary. I'm not sure going to introduce you all the way.
Yeah, that literally just happened. I'm sure the White House will tell us those videos are fake in any moment now. Tammy Bruce is here. She's a columnist for AMAC.us and a Fox News contributor, and she joins us on the phone. Tammy, always good to talk to you.
Well, great, and it sounds like you've got a great lineup, so it's my pleasure.
It's thank you for that, and it's amazing to hear from the White House the last 24 hours how panicked they are about all of this actual video footage of Biden's diminished capacity in public. They're telling us, Tammy, not to believe our own eyes.
Yeah, I think that it matters in some very serious situations and for a very serious reason. First of all, it shows you exactly the state of the people who are running the entire country. Their first go-to answer is to lie. It's to lie about the situation and then use an important issue. Deep fake videos, the ones that you can't tell if it's real or not, that's a very important thing, and it can impact people. And so by using it, by lying about what's a deep fake, they injure the notion of this idea and whether or not people will take them seriously or anyone seriously in the future when that is claimed. So they're willing to burn the village down in order to save it, aren't they?
Well, this is
it's huge, and it also is it's such an insult to everybody who listens to that.
And it's so thoroughly typical of these people. I mean, think about the Hunter Biden laptop saga. The Hunter Biden laptop has been validated in every possible way. And it contains all sorts of damaging information about the way the Biden family enriched themselves at the expense of the American people. And we were told by Biden world that it was Russian disinformation, that it was a hoax, and that we were all falling for it. Now they're doing it again. Now they're saying that actual video, including official government video of Joe Biden, it's what they call now a cheap fake. You're being tricked by the video footage.
Yeah, tricked, like literally, don't believe your own eyes. They're not saying it didn't happen. They're saying just don't believe whatever you see. If you're in a position of power and you're running the best nation in the world, and you have to tell your citizens to not believe what they see, you would think that any normal person would step back and say, I need to do something else for a living, or I need to get my act together because this is horrible. And for Karine Jean-Pierre to even be willing to repeat that, it is the people whose reputations are being thrown under the bus, like that woman, who obviously should never have been picked in the first place, but she should have the gumption to say, I can't do that. I'm not going to say that to people. But, she'll be rewarded at the end of all of this. She'll have her own show somewhere, and she'll get a $5 million book deal. And so she's willing to do it. That's who we're dealing with. None of these individuals obviously can be trusted, but it just goes down to the nature of why everything is such a disaster already, because this is their mentality. And it's heartbreaking, but we have a chance, obviously, to fix it in November.
I want to talk about the reason why Karine Jean-Pierre will be rewarded at the end of all of this, because you have a compliant media who is instantly taking the talking points being delivered to them by the White House and then spreading them out and helping to disseminate actual disinformation. So, for example, yesterday, Associated Press reporter Will Weishart raises this, supposed question to Karine Jean-Pierre, where he validates the spin that they're giving us.
Yeah.
There seems to be a sort of rash of videos that have been edited to make the president appear especially frail or mentally confused. I'm wondering if the White House is especially worried about the fact that this appears to be a pattern that we're seeing more often.
Yeah,
videos are being edited to make Biden look frail. Here's MSNBC's Nicole Wallace doing a similar stunt yesterday.
There's a growing and insidious trend in right-wing media, broadcast, print, and social media. It is to take highly misleading and selectively edited videos of President Biden directly from Republican National Committee social media accounts and then use those videos to spread messages virally to cast doubt on President Biden's fitness for office.
The irony of that clip in particular is she showed a highly edited clip to make Biden appear better than he actually did on that fundraising stage this weekend.
Yeah, but you notice how there is coordination, and there always has been. So the people that didn't get the direct phone call from Karine just need to listen to the daily briefing. And, this is where Joe Biden yelled at a reporter at one point for being bad because he didn't follow the rules. I think this was during the G7.
Yeah.
You didn't follow the rules. And even the White House Correspondents Organization, said you can't do that. That's just wrong. You can't say that to a reporter. Clearly, there's a reporter in that room who took the assignment of, it's almost like a magic trick where you plant somebody in the audience who then asks you a question or you already know about their background and then you do your trick. I mean, this is, we talk about kabuki theater and political theater. This is the ultimate, but the value of this, Vince, is that when we say it now, when we describe theater, now we can point to something, because otherwise you would have to think people who got to the highest position in their world, in politics, in government, how can there's no way they're like this bad and this, evil. And yet we can show it to them in real time. And that is what the American people have to rely upon. I think, Vince, that this strange scramble is to still try to maintain some of their base.
Yeah.
Because that is clearly what Biden is concerned about, and they should be concerned about. Trump's out there, if we look at his numbers in Iowa, he's out there to expand the base, reaching out to all Americans. And all they want, with this commercial about him being a convicted felon and this deep fake videos, is to try to trick people into not leaving them. That's what this is.
So I'm so glad you brought this up, because I wanted to ask you about this, because this is not the first time we've seen Biden's limitations. You and I and so many others on the right have been talking about this for some time. We've seen Biden fall downstairs. We've seen him fall upstairs. We've seen him trip over sandbags. We've seen him call out to dead congresswomen who aren't even there. We've seen him claim that he was arrested visiting Nelson Mandela, a complete lie, one of many that he's told. I was a truck driver, he says. That's also a provable lie. It goes on and on. We've seen this for years. All of a sudden, I'm seeing a panic out of the White House I have not seen the rest of this administration. Does that go to the point that you were just making, that this is about his base is beginning to notice?
That is correct, because they know that, look, it's an unforced error, that video that's going into the swing states talking about Trump being a convicted felon. They've not been able to read the room, right? That fact is that this was, and that ad proves that all of this was political, but they're hoping for that 1% of people maybe that said maybe the conviction would matter, that maybe they can get them to even just stay home, that you just don't vote for him. If you're not, it's one of those panic dynamics. And it's clearly from a group of people. It's not Joe Biden. I mean, he doesn't know what day of the week it is. It's the people running him that have always imagined themselves the masters of the universe, and we don't need a president. The bureaucracy runs everything anyway. We know everything. We're fine. It's the Obama people who they're in love with themselves, constantly narcissists staring in the mirror, and they are now at a loss at what the hell happened. Is that it's like if you put gasoline on a flame, it's going to explode.
Yeah.
And they didn't know that rule. And so now you've got people who are have such contempt, Vince, for the American people. They're willing to just do anything to try to trick you into staying with the base and to stop the bleeding at this point.
Yes. Yeah, Adam Schiff last week was referring to Republicans, anyone voting for Trump, as the immoral majority. That's the phrase he used. And seeing that video of Obama grab Joe Biden's wrist and pull him off that Hollywood stage last weekend, it reminded me, Tammy Bruce, of what a condescending narcissist that guy is. Just the idea that he feels like he is literally in charge of that stage, and he grabs the president of the United States by the wrists and drags him away.
Well, let me suggest that, and when I saw this, I thought exactly that this was happening, that Obama wanted to actually give that impression that he is in charge. He's in charge of that stage. He's in charge of the government, and that nobody needs to worry when Joe Biden goes off into la-la land. That was, I think, the message, when you've got Obama literally taking charge, and as he's walking him off, he puts his hand on his back, around his back, into literally a leading position. So I think it was clear. I think that was part of the message that night, even if Biden had been fine, was you're not getting Joe Biden. You're going to get the fourth term of Barack Obama, har, har, har.
Right.
And now he's going to a fundraiser with the Clintons. Now, this is about the base. They're scrambling I mean, come on. No, I don't know if the people he needs to vote for him even remember the Clintons. I was on with Doug Schoen earlier today on Fox, and he sort of agreed. I mean, this is about what you need to be doing is not this stuff. You need to be talking about the issues that Americans care about, but they can't because they set everything on fire.
Yeah, and the reality here is, that the Biden administration contained so many Obama holdovers, literally just staffed up with Obama people, so much so that I remember, I think it was Lester Holt even asking Biden about that as he was coming into the presidency, like, hey, aren't you just the third term for Obama? And that has certainly been the case. Look to Iran. Look at who else would suck up to Iran and at the expense of the rest of the world stabilization as much as Obama would. And now Biden is carrying out that agenda.
Well, Obama even joked himself. As the election had happened, he said, I'm paraphrasing here, but I'm very comfortable with what's happening. You know, it's like 90% are the people that were with me. Vince, he said 90%. The other people had shows to host on MSNBC, I guess. But it's like, this is a joke to them. And that's why Trump so freaked them out, because the American people were not following the rules. They weren't doing what they were supposed to be doing. And now and by the way, the border issue and crime, that is also punishment. It continues to be punishment because the American people cared about that. And now as we get to the end result, right, where they look at maybe there's a lame duck issue, they are going to double and triple down, Vince, on everything. That's why you hear about Amnesty now. They want to get as much out of that store before the police get here.
Yeah, and we're watching the crime take place as we speak. All right. Hey, thank you very much, as always. Tammy Bruce with amac.us and the Fox News Channel. Always appreciate you, Tammy. Thank you so much for your time
Thank
today.
you, Ben.
Our media are totally shameless, though. They really are. They're all just running around. What did the White House tell me to say? Okay, I'll say it. Democrats write the news. That's how this happens. Listen to this. Tom Elliott over at Grabian pulled together all these august members of the media claiming Biden's in great shape, everybody.
Start your tape right now, because I'm about to tell you the truth. And F you if you can't handle the truth. This version of Biden is the best Biden ever.
She knows so long as she was denied.
In fact, I think he's better than he's ever been.
President Biden has a photographic memory. His understanding and mastery of a complicated geopolitical situation is remarkable.
He is sharp, intensely probing, and detail-oriented and focused.
Jackie, are you here? Where's Jackie? I didn't think she was going to be here.
I was sitting, 2 feet from him across the table, and he was, intense.
Have trouble walking sometimes? Yeah, so did FDR. He wanted GD war.
But he's totally focused. He's very sharp.
They say he's sharp in meetings and so on.
Very lucid, very well informed. Biden is stately, and he comes with gravitas. There hasn't been, as far as I know, a single claim that Biden made a mistake.
Ageism is an issue. Americans have a rich history of holding people's physical characteristics against them. Okay, you can ask African Americans.
He's older. That doesn't mean that he is unfit, and there's a lot of ageism.
What was that clip? That Biden is just like when America has been prejudiced towards black people? Is that so? Judging Biden is racist. Do I have that right? Do I understand the logic there?
Now, this age attack, this obsession by the right.
Joe Biden may not be able to speak for himself the way that he used to.
They want to think to take on government if we get out of line, which they're talking again about, and that's him lying.
This is downright North Korean, isn't it? Chris is calling in from Marshall, line 1. Chris, good afternoon, sir. You're on the Vince Coglianese Show.
Well, I tell you, I really love Miranda Devine, but I have to disagree with her on one point. I think that Karine Jean-Pierre is doing exactly what she's been paid to do, and she will eagerly step up and do more of it. Yes, sir, please may I have another. I don't know if I can use the word whore on the air, but that's what these people are. Shameless, absolutely shameless. I want to put a challenge out there to the rest of the media. What happens if you just let him wander off? Where's he going to go? Let's just find out where he goes.
Yeah, let's see.
When he wanders aimlessly off the stage, it could be like Nature's Half Acre, or Mutual of Omaha's Wild Endeavor or something. You know,
Yeah, we'll just tell the Easter Bunny, hey, let him go this time. Let's see what happens. And we'll track him from a distance just to see where he goes. It's a good idea, Chris. By the way, I love Miranda Devine, too. That was actually Tammy Bruce who was with us. I also love her. Thank you, Chris. We've got so many great guests, so many great calls, and so much great show all ahead. Sarah Perry will be with us in a moment. The Biden administration has launched a war on women. A federal judge has put a stop to it, at least for now. Sarah will tell us about that. And London Roberts will be with us in the next hour.